Hey guys, welcome back. You guys have been asking me about what are some real assets that we can convert our dollars into them. The problem being that the paper dollar has lost its value since 1971 when President Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard. I thought it would be a great idea to do this video since I've personally dabbled with most of the asset classes and share with you my opinion on each of them. Okay, so let's begin. When a dollar is not backed by anything that has scarcity, like gold for example, people just like you and me can take control and print the money however they like. Eventually greed will take over and the money we all work so hard to earn will lose its value to inflation, and that is a centralization problem. Inflation is the silent killer and it is secretly robbing your wealth. This is no conspiracy theory. The dollar has lost 90% of its value in the last 100 years. Now keep in mind that 100 years is not a long time. Our average human lifespan is about 80 years. So by the time we are in old age, we will see our wealth that we work so hard to build secretly evaporating. So again, I emphasize that this wealth game is rigged. There is no point of having a tunnel vision and looking at own pot of savings to protect it. What we have to do is look around us, find opportunities and study what the successful people are doing and just replicate what they are doing. Basically, the path to wealth is 3 fundamental steps. You first choose a high income skill that you like to do and you are good at performing. Now, the skills can be options, it can be coding, it can even be tech sales or an AI engineer. What the market demands right now, they usually pay high and they pay well. Now, the second step is to identify how to leverage and how to build on your high income skill. You will need to understand what is your hourly rate when you have an high income skill. When you understand your hourly rate, you can delegate tasks that pays lower to another person. Let's say for example, if you are in sales, you can build and train a sales team. Part of that commission will go to you, while you have your own network to take care of. So step 2 is to use resources from your high income skill and build leverage for you to go to the next level, be it through debt, people or network. Now step 3 is you invest. You invest the additional resources that you are unable to utilize and maximize. Now the magical thing about investing is that the longer you let it compound, you will be shocked to see the end result. So for example, a person who starts saving $5,000 annually and invests at age 22 versus a person who starts 10 years later, both of them retire at age 67, but the person who started 10 years earlier will have $1.5 million and the person that started 10 years later will have $0.5 million. That is about 3 times the difference. Hence you can and you should invest early. Do it even before you develop your high income skill. Now I'm sitting here talking about this because we live in a capitalism system, but our education doesn't teach us how to be a capitalist at all. Okay, sorry, let's get back to the main topic on the different types of assets that we can buy. Now the first type of asset is property. There are commercial, industrial and residential. I think Singapore is a good place to invest in properties because Singapore has one of the lowest tax and it is a financial hub. Money will flow through Singapore and the rich will buy up properties and push up the demand for our property. Our salary in Singapore is one of the highest in Southeast Asia and in Asia as well. Many foreigners will come here to work for a living and they will need space to stay. The government laws makes it not easy for them to own properties, so some of them will have to rent here. You can own one private residential property to your name and your spouse can own another one. You can own multiple commercial and industrial properties if you can afford it. Now the good thing about property is that you can leverage. You pay a 25% down payment and you rent it out and have your tenants pay for your loan. In that way, you can build equity on your property. The amount you owe the bank gets lesser the longer you rent it out. The tenant will be paying for your property. Public residential housing is a headache and it's harder to rent out, but it has lower barrier of entry. Now, if you have not enough capital to buy a property, you can consider REITs, aka Real Estate Investment Trusts. REITs are publicly traded company that owns and operates income-producing real estate. Moving on, another asset you can invest in is luxury watches. Watches tend to hold their value well, and the good thing about them is that you can wear and enjoy it. I myself actually wanted to learn how to be a watch trader, and I went to buy a Rolex GMT Master 2 from a reputable seller. He taught me how to verify the watch by disassembling the important pieces and to look at their serial number. I did not end up becoming a watch trader because COVID came and there was no demand for luxury goods at all from March 2020 to June 2020. I sold the watch and invested into stocks. And what I've learned is that when the government prints money, luxury goods becomes even more expensive. Rolex watches mostly doubled in value. For example, a 15K watch 2 years ago is worth $30,000 today. Okay, next up, one of my favorite assets, rare whiskies. So for those of you who don't know, rare whiskey is the best performing alternative asset for the past 10 years. It outperforms wine, handbags, watches, jewelry, collectible coin. In a decade, rare whiskey increased by 500%. Let's take Japanese whiskey for example. To age a whiskey for 25 years, the distillery have to leave the whiskey cask to mature for a quarter century. Now, that is very bad for the business cash flow. What is worse is that aged whiskies in the cask will evaporate over time. This enhances the richness of the flavors, but the quantity of bottles you can get out of the whiskey barrels becomes very little. And let's say 25 years ago, it is around 1997 to 1998, the Japanese were going through the lost decade and Asia financial crisis. They need the cash flow to survive, and they are unable to mature these casks for 25 years. So there is very little supply of 25 years aged bottles. So the supply is very low, and then the demand started to skyrocket when Japanese whiskies starts winning world awards for the best whiskies. And the demand for these bottles just keep skyrocketing. But because of the Asia financial crisis, they did not produce enough supply to meet the skyrocketing demand. For example, this single malt Yamazaki 25 years was $1,500 at 2013. Today, it is worth $17,000, an 11 times increase. You can follow my whiskey page on Instagram. I'll link the handle below. Okay, next, investing in equity, aka stocks or shares. You become part owner of the business. There are value stocks, growth stocks, different ways of valuing a company. This is what my channel is about, talking about investment, how I approach investment, and my thinking framework. Stocks are the most liquidable asset, meaning to say you can sell them the fastest and the transaction cost is very little as compared to something like property. The two basic ways you can make money through stocks is through dividend or price appreciation. You can buy individual company or a basket of companies, aka a fund. I don't really talk about specific numbers much because I thought that most of you guys will fall asleep. If you guys want me to talk about specific numbers, do comment down below so that I can make this type of videos. Stocks that I like now is Tesla, Nvidia, and AMD. My approach to investing is I want to balance risk versus reward. Even though there might be other assets that might outperform Tesla, I still think Tesla is the best risk-adjusted investment with a huge upside. I prefer to have 85% growth stock and 15% defensive or value stocks. So in case of a rotation, I can play around and adjust my portfolio holding. But as of now, I still feel that I don't have enough Tesla shares. So my focus now is adding Tesla shares. Next asset, cryptocurrency. This is the new boy in town. My favorite cryptocurrencies right now is Ethereum, Luna, and AVAX. I allocate my capital based on my level of conviction and knowledge. So right now, even though I think Ethereum, Luna, and AVAX are good investments, majority of my capital is in Tesla. I'll make an entire video on cryptocurrency in the future. I feel like this asset class deserves an entire topic of its own. So honorable mention, bonds. In this day and age, everybody, especially the new generation, is aping into the stock market. Nobody wants to pursue slow, stable, high-grade AAA bonds anymore. So it might actually be a good time to buy bonds now. The last asset class I'm going to talk about today is precious metals. These are your gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. Gold was the original money, and I think it acts well as a store of value. However, I don't really like gold as an investment because of the situation we are in. Money is cheap, and people who knows how to use money is borrowing cheap money to make more money. Storing your money in gold is like playing extremely defensive and having a very pessimistic worldview of the world. Like for example, the financial system collapsing. Of course, these kind of scenarios are possible. It is the question of probability. Questions I will ask myself is, how many people benefit from thriving financial system versus a collapsing financial system? If most people want a thriving financial system, then it is in majority's incentive to keep the ball going, and hence gold during most of the time is not the number one investment for me. However, gold is my first investment before I could own stocks legally, so gold and silver will always have a special place for me. If you want to find out why gold is money, check out a video I've made in the past. I have it covered in detail. I'll link it up here and down below. In conclusion, my personal favorite asset class is stocks and property. Stocks are highly liquidable, business are producing things. It is a generative asset that will grow on its own. I like property because of debt. Property is the best assets for bank to lend you money at a cheap rate, and it is a more hassle-free process. And it is the easiest way for bank to lend you money. In the future, things may change. I might get more exposure to crypto. My funds are tied up as collateral for options. So as I gain more conviction and more cash, I'll transfer those options profits and add on cryptos. Okay guys, that is it for today. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I'll see you next week.